This is a Fox News Alert. I'm Brett Baer in Washington. Two breaking stories. The verdict is about to be read in the trial of the Colorado theater gunman who killed 12 people and wounded 70 others 3 years ago. We will go live there in moments to hear that verdict. But we begin tonight in Chattanooga, Tennessee, where federal officials say they are treating the murder of 4 Marines this afternoon as an act of domestic terrorism. They say a lone gunman fatally shot the Marines during attacks at 2 separate military-related facilities. The gunman was then also killed. Senior national correspondent John Roberts is in a stunned Chattanooga tonight. Hello, John.
Indeed, it is a stunned Chattanooga, Brett, because people just can't believe something like this would have happened here. And it happened right behind me at the Navy Operational Support Center, the Marine Corps Reserve Center, which is just a short ways away from downtown Chattanooga. Here's what happened this morning as we know it, because we're starting to piece together all of the little bits and pieces of the puzzle here. Shortly before 11 o'clock this morning, this man, Mohammed Yusuf Abdulaziz, allegedly arrived at a all branches recruiting center on Lee Highway, which is about 7.5 miles from where we are. In the parking lot, in a convertible Mustang with the top down, began opening center. Luckily, no one inside was hit. In fact, there was one man who was barely grazed and didn't even know it until later on. From there, he got in his car and, with police starting to be in hot pursuit, came down the road here and went into this NOSC, this Navy Operational Support Center, where he got into the parking lot. We don't know a whole lot about it because officials aren't talking too much about it, but we can see from aerials that his car did make it into the parking lot here, where he again allegedly opened fire. He used the same method in the first location, shooting from his car. Keith Wheatley, who is the property manager where that shooting took place, describes the scene.
I had gotten a call about 5 minutes after the shooting had taken place, and I just understood that someone drove by, shot all through the windows of all the recruiting offices. So we went inside, and the place was like something on TV. Furniture shot up, TVs, walls, bullet holes all in them. And there was what I thought was a Marine sitting on the sidewalk who had been injured in the leg.
Yeah, that man, as we understand it, was likely there to actually sign up for the Marine Corps, and all of the chaos and all of the adrenaline that was pumping with all of the shots ringing out, didn't even realize until someone told him, hey, you're bleeding, that he was shot in the leg. Abdulaziz packed up out of there very quickly and headed down the highway here for this Navy Operational Reserve Support Center, where he again made it into that parking lot. Police in hot pursuit by that time. After he had shot the 4 Marines in the parking lot, he engaged police in a shootout. Police will not say whether or not Abdulaziz took his own life or police killed him, but it's believed that police did fire the fatal shot. Chattanooga Mayor Andy Burke had this to say about the incidents this morning.
It is incomprehensible to see what happened and the way that individuals who proudly serve our country were treated. 2 different locations this individual went to, and as a city, we will respond to this with every available resource that we have.
Most obviously, across the street, the scene is still an active crime scene. Forensic experts, forensic teams are going through to try to put together the pieces of the puzzle as to what happened here. We're also told there was a lot of police activity about 5 miles that way, just across the Tennessee River in Hickson, Tennessee, on Colonial Way Circle. That apparently is where Abdulaziz habitated. We don't know if he owned the house or if he was renting it, but there is a large police presence there. We understand that a couple of females were taken away in handcuffs, and you can bet, Brett, that they are going through every square inch of that home looking for any clues that they can possibly find as to how and why this happened.
John Roberts in Chattanooga. We'll head back for any breaking details. John, thank you. Moments ago, President Obama made a statement from the White House about the shootings in Chattanooga.
We take all shootings very seriously. Obviously, when you have an attack on a U.S. military facility, then we have to make sure that we have all the information necessary to make an assessment in terms of how this attack took place and what further precautions we can take in the future.
Also went on to say all indications are that it's a lone gunman. The Chattanooga case is being handled very differently from most other similar incidents. Chief Intelligence Correspondent Catherine Herridge is here with us to talk about that. Catherine, you know, the FBI took over right away, and the FBI director was briefing the president in the Oval Office this afternoon.
Well, that's right. In the 14 years that I have covered this beat, Brett, I have not seen the FBI move so quickly. Within the scope of 6 hours, the FBI director, as you mentioned, was in the Oval Office. They're the lead of the investigation. They've confirmed that hundreds of agents will be on the ground, and they have publicly acknowledged that the starting point in this investigation is that it's a domestic act of terrorism until they see evidence that suggests otherwise. That is really extraordinary.
I mean, we want to be careful here because we're not linking it together yet, but there are pieces that are starting to come together.
That's correct.
There's a lot of look on social media.
Correct.
And looking into tweets by a specific ISIS account.
That's right. They're doing a forensic scrub of the suspect's social media footprint, and they're also looking at the messages that are out there from ISIS. What we know this evening is that there are a series of messages with a very specific timestamp of 10:34. You see it right there. That's important because it came based on the timestamp 11 minutes before the attack took place. And when you read the script, it seems to have foreknowledge of what was going to come in Chattanooga, and that is a mirror image of what we saw earlier this year in Garland, Texas, with the attack on the Muhammad cartoon drawing contest, sort of a foreknowledge by ISIS overseas that there was a plot inside the United States.
Right, and the investigation is ongoing.
Correct.
It's also important to point out that authorities were talking openly about their concerns about lone wolf attackers prior to the 4th of July, and that's where we got all of those warnings ahead of some key arrests around the country.
Well, that's right. Just within the last week, I've been in a briefing with the FBI director where he told us on the record that the threat had not passed just because the holiday was over. And it's no coincidence. Within he was in the Oval Office briefing the president. What struck me about the president's comments was the reference to the attack as a lone gunman, an extremely neutral term, but it seemed somewhat tone deaf to the information that is already out there about the circumstances and the specific targeting of the U.S. military, which has been the call from terrorist groups like ISIS.
So is there a heightened alert in the wake of Chattanooga that has changed? Has the alert status changed from what we were prior to July 4th?
The alert status is high, but it's key to note today that the Homeland Security Secretary within hours put out a statement confirming that they were ramping up security at federal facilities. We now know based on the president's comments that that's really code for military facilities. And though Homeland Security says there's no credible threat, I want to connect the dots for people here. We had confirmation that this attack was not warned about in the intelligence. So saying there's no credible threat really is not that meaningful at this stage of the game.
Yeah, the Attorney General, Loretta Lynch, just put out a statement saying on behalf of the Justice Department, offering condolences to the families. I have directed the FBI to take the lead in the national security investigation of this heinous attack on members of our military. The U.S. Attorney's Office, the Department prosecutors are also actively involved in the days ahead. She goes on to say they'll partner with law enforcement and the intelligence community. Obviously, that's a standard release, but you're saying that the way the FBI is handling this is different.
The speed at which we saw the FBI take the helm of this investigation sent hundreds of agents to be on the ground. The briefing in the Oval Office, the public admission that they believe it's terrorism until they see otherwise. This is an extraordinary turn of events, especially for an administration that has been so reluctant.
And quickly, you're looking at the shot there. Let's put that back up. The shot of the door where the gunshots were in this incident. And you said that tells us something too.
This is important from an investigative point of view because you see the bullets are, we can't see the whole front of the recruitment center, but you can see it's a clustering of the gunshots, and this would indicate indicate someone who had some kind of familiarity or even training with the weapon itself, because based on all the eyewitness accounts, it was a heavy weapon and he had multiple firearms with him when he was killed.
Okay, we will continue to follow it. Head back for any breaking details. Catherine, thank you.
You're welcome.
Up next, we are just minutes away from hearing the verdict in the Colorado movie theater shooting. You're looking live at the courtroom in Centennial, Colorado. We will take you there live. Greta Van Susteren will join us to digest this verdict as it comes in. A busy show here on Special Report. Stay tuned.